most important stock on the Nifty index is Reliance Industries. What do you point in figure charts point there?
Again, what I would do is I would add my 45-degree trend lines, because that just tells me objectively what the trend is. Now, this is a stock that has changed its trend quite often, and when I look at a chart to see that it's an uptrend and a downtrend for 3 columns, an uptrend for 2 columns, a downtrend, I'm always a little bit suspicious. But the position at the moment is we're in a downtrend, and our downside target is 705, which actually we've pretty much hit. And so what I would do then is look at the upside target, and we've had a confirmation of that upside target, and 1080 takes us straight back into the trading range, and I think that that's probably what will happen, and that's the best it can do.
So you use the word that you're a bit suspicious about this chart.
I am very suspicious about this chart because of the constant changes in trend.
But I think traders in India have been always suspicious of this chart for the last 2 decades. And then Crompton Greaves, that had a very large move. What do you think of Crompton Greaves?
Well, what I would do first is I would say, what are the targets? I'll put some trend lines on just so that we know. There's no doubt about it. It's in a downtrend. I would certainly look at the target from the high. Here, there's a high was made, downside target of 100. Now, what's interesting is that target was established on the 27th of February this year. On the 27th of February, it said 100, and when we all looked at it, and at the time we would have looked at it and said 100, it's never going to go there. Now it's sitting at 137, you're thinking, well, maybe it will go to 100. So that's the downside target on it. It's in a downtrend. There is every likelihood that that's where it's going, and if you look at the last action here, a break below there will really just confirm that the target of 100 is going to be reached. And actually, there's a new target building from this point here, which takes it to 78. And that's an unconfirmed target yet, because the length of that column hasn't been fixed.
All right. So that brings me to one last query on charts from my side, and that's Larsen and Toubro, LND chart.
Yeah. So again, let's just add the trend lines, see what we are. We're in a downtrend. Let's look at the targets to see whether they've been achieved. Look at that 1485 target from the top. So that target was established in December last year. It said 1485, and it's hit that target absolutely exactly. It's rallied up underneath the 45-degree line, tried to get into it. As far as other downside targets are concerned, I don't really have any at this stage, so let me just see. None of them of any consequence, so it's actually quite difficult.
Point and figures, if there is no signal at this point, while the classical guys are all mounting their shorts in here.
Yeah, so there's the head and shoulders pattern, and actually if you measure the head and shoulders pattern, it takes you down somewhere to sort of 825, 800 if you measure the height of that pattern.
And Jeremy, whenever the rupee moves a lot, it means there's a lot of movement possible in some key sectors. So what is the CNX IT chart showing you?
CNX IT chart, what I normally do with a chart like this, again, is I put the automatic trends on, the 45-degree trend lines. And what's really interesting is that this chart, from the April 2009 low, it broke into an uptrend in the middle of April, is still in the uptrend, and even the correction that we've had now has brought it right back to that 45-degree line. So that's a line drawn 2 or 3 years ago. The price has come right back to that line. I can put targets on it just to get some idea of where it's going. So I've got targets from the top that have been achieved. This little top here produces quite a big thrust target down to 34 or 26, but because we're in an uptrend, we don't have to worry about that target. Once we move into a downtrend, we would start looking at it. So considering that one would buy as it approaches the support, which it's on right now, the upside target's 58.64 has been achieved already. We've got another target of 67.41, but it doesn't look like it's going to make the new highs, so it's going to stop somewhere before it gets to the highs.
And Jeremy, when does a downtrend trigger gets confirmed on this chart, if it does get?
If the price breaks the uptrend line and generates a point and figure sell signal, that is a column of O's going below a previous column of O's, that will then change the trend to a downtrend.
And then perhaps calculations for significant downsides looking pretty much like 34.26.
Yeah, so 34.26. But when we do move into a down, there will be other targets that are not quite as far down as that. At the moment, that's the only one. But if we, for example, if we came down here, we would find a target that came in somewhere around 42.65. And that's why I generally don't like showing the very big targets, because I know that there will be another one that's nearer where we are.
Generally, within the IT sector, within the CNX IT, a key stock is TCS. And how does that chart look like?
So TCS, what's interesting is that I spoke today about a pattern called a high pole, and that looks very much like a high pole to me, where we've had some congestion, we've had a move up, and then the next move has been all the way down. A point and figure chartist would have closed his position somewhere there, and if he didn't close it there, he would certainly have closed it on that little double bottom sell signal there. This column of O's is actually going to generate a really very low target, although it hasn't completed yet, but that's the target, that's the minimum target at the moment, 845. It could be a lot lower than that.
And what kind of a stop one should be putting if one is playing for a shot to 845?
At the moment we can't see that, because you would place your stops based on point and figure. So what we need to see is a row of X's, which it'll happen at some stage. Row of X's go up, and at the top of that row of X's, that's where I would put my stop.
So until that happens, we may end up getting stopped out only right at the point where this latest row of zeros began.
That's correct, yeah.
So the stop is not yet defined, but the position is in.
That's right.
Okay. And then say, how does the CNX Bank index look like?
CNX Bank rolling over, if you look at it, and I find that a point and figure chart without trend lines doesn't really show me anything. Clearly in a downtrend. That's the one good thing about point and figure. You don't have to guess the trend. It says it's in a downtrend. It broke into a downtrend round about the middle of August, and that is the position at the moment. From the high, we can put a target here of 74, which we've almost reached. Now, I never try and reach exactly the target. As long as it gets more or less into that area, we may have reached that target. As far as other ones are concerned, there are a few others here, 75.20, 78.26, that are valid targets that we can still look at. But we will hit resistance on that downtrend line. It's somewhere around about 10.036. That's where we would start to see some resistance. And in fact, if we drew a horizontal line across there, that horizontal line matches right up with that downtrend 45-degree line. That's where I'd be looking for my resistance, and it is 10,036.
So in case that line is broken and 10,036 is crossed on the higher side, then not only the current short stance gets stopped out, that's where by the point and figure method some new upside targets will also start.
We will certainly get some new upside targets. Firstly, we will cancel this downside target of 78.26, and we will generate a new upside target here of 12.125, and tentatively one even higher than that of 12.743. But again, only going back up to the highs, nothing pushing past those highs.